Good evening. We're going to talk about Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. When my mom was still alive, she was ready to go to heaven. She got struck by cancer, but she still had her five senses with her laying there in bed or whatever. And one time I walked into her room and she was listening to a lady that preaches. Man, it was a recording, I think, but the lady, we know her and everything, but she was preaching that nobody's perfect. She said about 3-4 times, nobody's perfect, nobody's perfect, nobody's perfect. So my mom would tell me she was ready to go to heaven. I said, Mom, I know you're ready to go to heaven, but God says the last words. Well, my mom passed away, and maybe like 2 years later, this lady comes out that she has cancer too, and she's dying. They have a radio station, and they were talking about it or whatever. So the daughter was saying her testimony that while she was there in her bed being inflicted by cancer, this preacher, she said that she could hear her mom under the voice saying that she was fighting a fight. I don't know what. My mom was peaceful, ready to go, but she was fighting a fight to cross over to the curtain of death. I don't know if she made it or not, but she twisted the scriptures of Matthew 5:48. Everybody says nobody's perfect, but it's written. It's written in Matthew 5:48 to be perfect as my Father is perfect. In 1 John chapter 5 verse 8 it says, the Spirit, the blood, and the water, the Spirit of God, the blood of Jesus, and the water is the Word of God, are greater than man's testimony. But you all want to get the man's testimony and believe him of whatever he tells you from the pulpit or whatever you see in the internet, and you want to believe every single word they say, but you don't want to believe that we can be perfect, because it's a commandment that Jesus heard the Father tell him for us to be perfect like our Father to be perfect. So I don't know if this lady made it or not. I know there's been 5 or 6 pastors in the area where I live that have died in less than 6 months. But I'm going to read Matthew. I'm going to start in 43. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. 44. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. 45 is the answer for verse 48 of Matthew 48. So that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. So Jesus says, be perfect as my Father is perfect. And verse 45 it says, so you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. So ask your question, how is my Father in heaven? He is perfect. So that means I'm supposed to love my enemies and pray for those who persecute us. But you guys can't be perfect. You guys can't make it into heaven because you say you're not perfect. My Father, for me to be his sons of the Father in heaven, I need to be perfect. Verse 45. There's the answer to verse 43 of Matthew 48. That pastors twist, teachers twist. They are being accursed, taking it away with their own lips from the Word of God, and nobody even sees that. You're being deceived left and right from these pastors, $3 for $1 pastors, and you guys are not seeing it. It says to be sons, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. How is my Father? He is perfect. How am I supposed to be? To love my enemies and pray for those who persecute me, so I could be sons of the Father in heaven, so I could make it to heaven, and so I could be perfect. Verse 48. Twisted scriptures that they've been doing it for 60 years already, but nobody wants to do the homework. These pastors are asleep. because they've been there for the longest. That nobody's perfect. The Word of God says to be perfect. That's a commandment. And you guys are not even paying attention to what they're preaching to you. You're being deceived. Be perfect as my Father is perfect. Thank you for watching.